Today's courtroom scene was pure chaos. Defendant Larry Lee is in serious trouble after making a shocking and reckless move, one that could completely derail his case. What he tried might just be the biggest mistake of his life. Lee went completely against legal protocol. He bypassed his own attorney and directly contacted the victim's lawyer, Mr. Arabo, attempting to negotiate a deal. His goal? To have charges dropped in two separate cases, all by himself. It was a bold move, but also incredibly risky. Luckily, Mr. Arabo was one step ahead. He recorded the entire phone call, capturing Lee's attempt to manipulate the legal system. That recording became undeniable proof of witness tampering, putting Lee in even deeper trouble. Judge Simpson didn't hold back, calling Lee's actions a clear violation of the law and obstruction of justice. The judge immediately revoked his bond. The courtroom went silent as Lee was told he would be taken into custody. No leniency, no second chances. And things got worse. Lee tried to shift the blame onto his own attorney, Mr. Burgess, claiming that this tampering was some legal strategy. The judge was having none of it. She flat out refused to believe him, leaving Lee without any excuses or defense. This case is a textbook example of how trying to game the system can backfire catastrophically. One bad decision, one unethical move, and suddenly everything falls apart. Larry Lee's courtroom chaos is far from over, and the fallout from this shocking attempt could have long-lasting consequences. Stay tuned, because this story is just getting started, and you won't believe what happens next in this high-stakes legal drama.
All right, go ahead. What are we doing?
Apparently, Mr. Lee called Mr. Arabo and offered to, in exchange, there's a pending case where Mr. Kwasny is the defendant of an AMD against Mr. Lee. Mr. Lee contacted Mr. Arabo and offered to essentially not testify in that case if Mr. Kwasny agreed not to testify in this case. There are statements that are essentially saying, in exchange for Mr. Kwasny, victim in this case, not testifying, I will also not testify. With that said, of course, I think it's appropriate to have an adjournment. Mr. Burgess agrees with that.
Hold it, but does that recording indicate that?
Yes, Your Honor, have either one of you listened?
I myself have not listened to the recording. I was just asked to stand in on behalf of Mr. Burgess. He's at a hearing in Lansing. However, I did speak to Mr. Lee about it today. Mr. Lee indicates to, he indicated some of the content of the conversation to me. He also indicated, just FYI, that he himself recorded it. But
just so that I have this right, the defendant, because of something else, is urging, enticing, or in some other way interfering with testimony of witnesses in this case.
I can't agree to that characterization because I haven't heard it. I don't know.
Well, you want to listen to, because that's what I'm being told.
But yes, I understand. I understand that that is what's being presented. I also want to indicate that. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Mr. Lee has indicated to me some things. I have advised him to be careful of what he would want to say to Your Honor, but he seems to feel that he needed to make that phone call because he wants to move to have Mr. Burgess removed and he wants to get a different attorney. Mr. Lee has indicated to me he also wants to address the court. I again did advise him I would not go into the content of that conversation as there could be potential pending new charges. With that said, Mr. Lee, what is it you wanted to say?
Yes, Judge, I indicated to, what's her name?
Mary Rubio, Ms. Rubio.
To Ms. Rubio that for a little bit over a month, I contacted my attorney, Mr. Burgess, and I instructed him to contact the lawyers from both sides, the prosecution and the other side that represented Mr. Kwasny, and I instructed him to offer a plea or to negotiate some sort of settlement, and he indicated that he would do that. He indicated that he had done that. He indicated that he had reached out to Mr. Arabo and the prosecutor regarding making some sort of plea agreement. Him and I discussed what that could be. And so now, fast forward, yesterday, I contacted Mr. Burgess and I said, hey, have you reached out or have you heard anything from Mr. Arabo and the prosecutor? He said, and he indicated that he had not heard anything and that he had reached out to both attorneys multiple times. I knew that to be a lie. I suspected that to be a lie. And I knew that if I were to have him or to ask you to have him removed or substituted, that I would have to prove under Strickland versus Washington that he.
I don't know. Are you a lawyer?
I was.
Mr. Lee, no. To my knowledge, no.
So I knew that I had to prove that he was ineffective. I knew that I had to prove that our breakdown was egregious. So I recorded the call myself, and I called Mr. Arabo and I asked if Mr. Burgess reached sort of plea negotiations. Mr. Arabo said, no, sir. He had not had any communications with my attorney. So I confirmed with Mr. Arabo that he had not received any communications about any kind of negotiations with any kind of plea agreements on my behalf.
I'm so sorry to Mr. Lee, before he makes more statements.
And I did record the.
That are false to this.
I recorded the call.
Criminalizing himself.
I recorded the call.
In his best interest, he might want to listen to this call before he makes any further statements. In the call that was sent to us, there is indication, there's no discussion of a plea, not what was sent to me. That was recorded by Mr. Arabo. There's very clear that there will be no testimony in his case if Mr. Consley agrees not to testify in this case.
So I have the text messages.
Further false statements are made to the court, which is not necessarily a problem for me, but I want to make sure that Mr. Lee's rights are preserved.
I have the text messages.
I want to listen.
You don't know what? That's the third time you've done it. You're gone. Mr. Allen, take him. You better get Mr. Burgess down here because I want to hear those calls, because if he's interfered with it, that's going to be a whole other issue.
I will try to reach him, but I know he is in Lansing, so I'm not certain.
Well, even if he appears, but has Mr. Burgess heard the calls?
I don't know, Your Honor. They were sent this morning. I asked Mr. Arabo to send them right away yesterday, and we received them this morning. Mr. Arabo can also be available via Zoom if necessary.
All right.
Okay.
I'm just letting you know that what I'm hearing is extremely disturbing.
I completely understand that, Your Honor.
And so I'm gonna give an opportunity for the defense to give me some explanation, but I'm inclined at this point, I'm gonna hold him in custody. I'm inclined at this point to revoke his bond.
I understand.
Okay?
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Have you heard him? Or,
Just now. Prosecutor and I listened to it together.
okay. All right. I'll recall that. Get Mr. Burkett in here. We'll handle that one. I'm gonna take a brief break. We'll handle that one. Then I'll get Mr. Lee out.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Marie Tin, Assistant Prosecuting Attorney on behalf of the people.
I forgot to wait a second.
And Mary Rubio, again, on behalf of Mr. Lee, who is making his way to the podium.
There's additional counsel that is on Zoom. Oh, there you
Good afternoon, Your Honor. May it please this honorable court, Joseph Arabo on behalf of Stephen Quasney.
All right. And I'm presuming everybody except the court has heard the phone call.
What I heard was the recording the prosecutor gave me, which appears to be a less than 2-minute portion of a phone call. I think she would agree it's not an entire phone call.
That's correct, Your Honor. It's what Mr. Arabo sent me, as well as Mr. Burgess, and law enforcement as of this morning.
All right. And that portion of the phone call, as the court is to understand, is basically this defendant speaking with, is it directly with the victim in this case?
No.
No,
An
Your Honor.
attorney.
It's with Mr. Arabo, the attorney for the victim.
All right. And basically offering to not provide testimony in another case if his client doesn't provide testimony in this criminal proceeding.
That is how I would characterize it, Your Honor. If Mr. Arabo has additional information or different information, he's welcome to.
Yes. Mr.
Yeah, Yeah, just to clarify the record, that's a portion of a phone call because I didn't anticipate to record the entire thing. I didn't know who was calling me until, and then once I realized what this was, which is an attempt to extort, and use this other case that he filed against the victim in this matter to use as leverage to have this conversation at a future point in time. I was quick enough to get on my computer and record it, so that the court is aware of what's going on in the matter where I represent Mr. Kwasny, who's the victim in this matter, which is the first matter before the court.
Your Honor, if I may, I really object to that characterization that it was an attempt to extort. I've spoken to Mr. Lee at length about the purpose of the phone call. I also listened to the portion of the phone call. Perhaps the court could listen to it. I do not believe that that was what was happening at all. And plus, I don't think there was nothing on there that indicated he was trying to extort this attorney or the complaining witness. Frankly, what Mr. Lee has alleged to me is that he and Mr. Burgess have basically had a breakdown of communication, that he's spoken to Mr. Burgess multiple times, asking him to advocate on his behalf to the prosecutor as well as to this other attorney to try to come up with.
Today's courtroom scene was absolutely chaotic. Defendant Larry Lee found himself in deep trouble after making a shocking move, one that could completely destroy his case and change the trajectory of his freedom forever. What he did would shock anyone watching, and the fallout is still unfolding. Larry Lee, facing serious charges, decided to bypass his own attorney and directly contact the victim's lawyer, Mr. Arabo. His goal? To negotiate a deal that would drop charges in 2 separate cases. On the surface, it seemed like a bold move, but in reality, it was a catastrophic misstep. Mr. Arabo, aware of legal boundaries, immediately recorded the phone call. Every word Larry Lee spoke, every attempt to manipulate the outcome, was captured. This recording would become the key piece of evidence that changed everything in court. What Lee thought was a clever shortcut ended up being his biggest mistake. Judge Simpson presided over the hearing with a sharp eye. As the evidence was presented, the courtroom tension became almost palpable. The judge made it clear that this was not a minor error. It was a direct violation of the law. Witness tampering is taken extremely seriously, and Lee's actions were textbook obstruction of justice. After reviewing the recorded phone call, Judge Simpson made a strong decision. Larry Lee's bond was revoked immediately. There was no hesitation, no warnings. He would be taken into custody, and the courtroom fell into stunned silence. This was a dramatic moment that highlighted the seriousness of Lee's misconduct. But the drama didn't stop there. Larry Lee, trying to defend himself, attempted to blame his own attorney, Mr. Burgess. He claimed that the contact with the victim's lawyer was somehow a legal strategy suggested by Burgess. The judge, however, wasn't convinced. She rejected Lee's explanation outright, emphasizing personal responsibility and the importance of ethical behavior in legal proceedings. As the hearing continued, every detail of the case was dissected. The judge reminded Lee of the consequences of bypassing legal counsel and attempting to manipulate outcomes. Experts say that this kind of behavior can not only result in bond revocation, but also lead to additional charges, including criminal contempt or further obstruction. The courtroom reactions were intense. Family members, legal observers, and even those following the case online could see the gravity of the situation. It was a stark reminder that trying to play the system often leads to far worse outcomes than simply following legal procedures. Larry Lee's attempt to negotiate directly with the victim's attorney highlights a key lesson in the justice system. Ethical boundaries exist for a reason, and crossing them can have immediate and irreversible consequences. The recorded evidence made it impossible for the court to ignore, leaving Lee with few options and no defense. The judge's handling of the situation demonstrates the strict approach courts take when faced with witness tampering. The law is clear. Any attempt to influence a witness outside of proper channels is unacceptable. By revoking the bond immediately, Judge Simpson sent a strong message to Lee and to anyone who might consider similar actions. Legal analysts are already discussing the long-term implications for Lee. Not only has he lost his freedom temporarily, but the case has become far more complex. Any further attempts to maneuver outside legal advice could worsen his situation, and the consequences could extend to additional criminal charges. The recording by Mr. Arabo, combined with the courtroom evidence, ensured that there was no ambiguity. Lee's actions were documented and undeniable. For viewers, this serves as a cautionary tale. Shortcuts in the legal system almost never work, and unethical moves can backfire spectacularly. Even after being taken into custody, Lee continued to attempt to justify his actions, but the courtroom had moved on. Judge Simpson's focus remained on maintaining the integrity of the legal process and ensuring that the rules were applied fairly. This is exactly what keeps the justice system functioning and prevents manipulation. For the audience watching this unfold, it's a lesson in accountability. Every choice in the legal setting matters. One reckless decision, like trying to circumvent an attorney, can have cascading effects that extend far beyond the initial case. Larry Lee's story is a dramatic example of this principle. As this case continues, the focus will remain on both the legal consequences for Lee and the ethical lessons it provides. The revoked bond is only the beginning. Future hearings, potential new charges, and the fallout from this unethical attempt will continue to unfold, providing more dramatic developments in the story. In conclusion, this courtroom drama underscores one truth. Attempting to manipulate the system is never worth the risk. Larry Lee's experience shows how quickly freedom can be lost and how serious the consequences of unethical decisions can be. As the case develops, viewers should expect more intense courtroom moments, new evidence, and decisions that will continue to shape the outcome. This story is far from over. Every twist, every turn, every shocking revelation in the courtroom makes it clear. The justice system is not a game, and trying to play it can lead to life-changing consequences. Stay tuned for the next chapters in this high-stakes legal drama. You won't want to miss what happens next.
Called not being a lawyer, using the words a settlement agreement or a plea negotiation. That's what he said to me. And that he had the feeling that Mr. Burgess had not, in fact, made this phone call. So he then called this attorney, and right in the phone call,
because it would have been unethical for Mr. Burgess to try to say my client won't testify in this other matter.
Of course.
If that, right? That's
well,
Mr. Burgess may not have done.
And that may very well be. But Mr. Lee indicates that, and I haven't seen these, he indicates that he has text messages back and forth with Mr. Burgess, and that Mr. Burgess, quote, lied to him about whether or not he made these phone calls. So he indicates the main reason that he wanted to call.
That would be irrelevant.
I know that. Judge, trust me. I know that. But I just wanted to make a record. What, can I just finish though?
Let her finish.
Mr. Lee
Sure.
indicated the main purpose of the phone call was for him to find out whether this attorney could verify whether Mr. Burgess called him. If you listen to the call, the portion of this call, it's literally on there. He says, it starts out with him saying something about plea agreements. The call, it's interrupted. And I believe because counsel didn't realize he was going to need to record this. But anyway, it starts out with him, Mr. Lee, saying something about plea agreement, settlement agreement. Was there any, did Mr. Burgess call you to try to, see if I wouldn't testify and then your client wouldn't testify? Yes, he says that. But then he goes on to say, because my lawyer said he called you, and then this attorney confirms what Mr. Lee was trying to find out. And this attorney says, no. You see how easy it was to reach me. I didn't talk to anybody named Burgess. That's what he says. So I'm just indicating that not want to have Mr. Burgess represent him anymore because he feels Mr. Burgess is lying to him. I'm just representing to you what Mr. Lee has told me.
Your Honor, if I may.
I'd like to say something.
Thank you. Mr. Arabo, it's my turn. One moment. Your Honor.
Because apparently that's how it works in this courtroom. Tana says it's her turn, so it's her turn. Go ahead, Miss Tana.
Mr. Arabo had some trouble with interrupting.
That's only because she's there and I'm not.
Your Honor, I don't really, quite frankly, care what's going on with the client relationship with Mr. Burgess, or claims Mr. Arabo was making about extortion. That's not something that people are going to get involved in at this stage. What I'm concerned about is there is a clear difference between a plea negotiation and two witnesses not testifying, one of them being Mr. Lee, the other one being Mr. Quadley, not testifying in exchange for something. And I agree that the court should just listen to the call rather than us going around calling it different things. What's clear to me is that there is an offer to not testify in exchange for Mr. Quadley not testifying in this case before this court. That is what I'm hearing on that call. That is what's concerning to people, and that's what may bring future charges. We're in an early stages. This needs to go to law enforcement. It has gone to law enforcement now, and we can follow up.
Your Honor, as you know, I'm a defense attorney. I think Ms. Rubio is really grasping at straws here to try to help her client. But here's what it is. It's not a plea. We heard her say plea. A plea means a reduction to something other than what he's being charged with, not a dismissal, which is clearly being indicated in this. Second, what's happened here is you could see clearly there has been a subsequent case filed. I don't know how this slipped between the cards because in over 10 years of practicing, I've never seen something like this where a victim turns into a defendant during a pending case. Never seen anything like this. So Mr. Lee has done this intentionally so that he can one day use it as leverage to contact me or have somebody else contact me or whoever is representing Mr. Quadley so that he could use it as a negotiation tactic. And what he's engaged in is third-party communication to get through to Mr. Quadley in violation of his bond. That's number one. He's got a no contact order. Second, this is witness tampering. You don't want to call it extortion. Let's find something else. It is witness tampering. He's trying to tamper with Mr. Quadley using the leverage that he created. And I don't know if the prosecutor's office allowed this to happen. This is what's happened. First ever time I've ever seen anything like this. And it needs to be handled. It needs to be handled. It's going to be handled.
Okay.
Can we listen to the call?
Everybody
Yes,
listen to it already.
Hey, can somebody send it to Ms. Weidling and I will then be more than happy to listen, or if there's an easier way for me to do it, I'll do it. Let's take the defendant back and court to listen to the call. I can give my decision.
You have to go back.
To you. Court does recall the case of the People's State of Michigan versus Larry Lee.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Marie Tan, Assistant Prosecuting Attorney. About people.
And Mary Rubio on behalf of Mr. Lee, who is approaching.
The issue is in this case that, first of all, we're adjourning the hearing.
I believe we are. That was what I thought we were doing in the beginning.
Well, it's got to stay before me.
I know Mr. Burgess is already going to be here on July 1st. I just wanted to put that out there.
Yes, but I'm not on the.
Oh.
I'm on the bench, but I'm not doing these.
Okay.
With reference to bond in this case, I've listened to the recording. I'm not going to say there's an over-exaggeration or an under-exaggeration. I mean, I think it's relatively clear when somebody very clearly points out an exchange or quid pro pro quo regarding me not testifying and this other person not testifying, and that is the exchange. I don't know that you get a clearer indication of somebody that is attempting, and especially when they circumvent their attorney, of somebody trying to sort of tamper with and obstruct a case. It couldn't be clearer. I mean, and quite frankly, I don't think there's any design to necessarily frost it over or anything along those lines. I think the idea or what Mr. Lee is saying about what Mr. Burgess wouldn't do is quite frankly just a ruse to hide his own desire to have the exchange that he was speaking with counsel about. Given that, and the court having heard that, with reference to this case, the defendant's bond is hereby ordered revoked based upon the court's hearing of that bond violation.
Your Honor, can I just raise two issues? Before all of this happened, Mr. Lee expressed to me and attempted to express to the court his, as I'm sure the court has gleaned, his displeasure with Mr. Burgess. So I do think there, given some of Mr. Lee's allegations against Mr. Burgess, it may be best if someone else is appointed to the case. I know he doesn't want Mr. Burgess.
And that's fine. I don't know whether or not he doesn't want Mr. Burgess or not, because I think, as I'm indicating, I think that notion of Mr. Burgess not doing something and then his checking is simply a ruse for him to try to get the message that I want this quid pro quo, this exchange.
And I'm not accusing Mr. Burgess of anything. I'm just trying to represent what Mr.
No,
Lee has
and
told me.
I understand that.
And Mr. Lee
I
is
think
about
when
jumping
you-
out of his skin trying to talk, just so you know.
And so when you talk to Mr. Burgess, if Mr. Burgess, if he believes that that's the appropriate step, he can bring that motion before this court and the court will hear it in the day that I'm on. Mr. Lee, I will let you talk in a moment, but I'm going to finish this. Revoking your bond because of what is a clear violation of the bond regarding, and I mean, I think it's an attempt to try to get indirect contact as well as obstruct these proceedings. Because that was accomplished in the manner it was, and I'm not sure that I can trust you with reference to no context and the like. We're at least going to get through this. I am going to, subject to a hearing, defendant's phone privileges for the jail are also revoked. What did you wish to say, sir?
The thing that my substitute attorney here didn't convey to you was that I told her that I have the evidence with me in hand, that my attorney, Mr. Burgess, was the one that actually said that this was a legal way that we can go about it. And no, I'm not.
You know what, Mr. Lee, you might as well stop right now.
I have the text.
Because no, I'm going to tell you, I don't know if you're misunderstanding something or what, but you are not. Mr. Burgess has appeared before this court. You are not going to sit here and try to disparage that man, saying that somehow or another, Mr. Burgess represented to you that obstructing a case in this fashion was a legal way to proceed. I'm not going to believe it, and I'm not going to hear you. I'm not going to hear you. I don't know what how do you not understand what I'm telling you? Now, if you've got that information and you think that's what it says, you get it to counsel and the court will take a look at it. But you're not going to sit here and disparage that man. It is not going to happen. I'm done. Bond revoked. Take you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your wait and patience online.
No problem, Your Honor. Are you still on the record? I'm not sure who this kid is or what he's capable of or what sort of messages he can get out to other people. But if the court could put a no contact order because somehow I've become a witness in this matter, I'd appreciate that.
A no contact with you?
Yep. I don't want to be contacted by any third parties. I want out of this thing and I want to be done with it. Didn't ask to be here.
I will add that no contact provision in.
Yeah, one of those, Your Honor.
But counsel, why don't you let us know how you really feel? All right.